the organization or the structure of the presentation. I think I mentioned this, I think a few weeks ago. Alright, maybe this time maybe some parts I will repeat a little bit. Alright, maybe other parts, maybe I can give you some new kind of inspiration, alright, when you are also organizing the content of your speech. Alright, and then actually I keep seeing that, like for example, last week and this week we have C7 speech, alright, and one of the objectives of C7 speech is to support your points and opinion with specific facts, example, and illustration. And then, now, I believe for whoever who try to do C7 speech, I think they will do research before when they are preparing for the presentation, and then of course they will do a lot of research, and then they try to gather the points, alright, and then some evidence for that. But then sometimes when you are doing the presentation, maybe the points or maybe the facts that you have collected, it may not be as strong, or maybe it may not be as clear as you thought, or maybe the way that you want it to be. Alright, yeah. So because the skill of organizing idea is also important. Now, basically, this is a very I have written on the board. So this is the typical structure of whatever kind of presentation. Alright, whether you are doing, for example, when you are doing business, you need to do a sales presentation, or maybe it's like when you have a meeting with your boss, alright, and you need to do a report, alright, report form of presentation. Basically, you follow this way. There should always be introduction, body, and conclusion. Now, even if you want to do a presentation and share a story, you also need to follow this structure. Maybe I will take story as an example. Most of the speakers, they will start their presentation, like for example, I'm the presenter, and then now I want to share a story with you. Alright, and most of the presenters, they will start their presentation with the beginning part of the story, and they thought that they are actually doing the introduction. But then when we are talking about introduction, when you're putting the beginning part of the story as the beginning part of your presentation, actually you're starting your presentation with the body, not the introduction. So when we are talking about the introduction of the presentation, you should introduce the background information of the story. Alright? Yeah, that means you don't jump right into the story. You should share some background information. Like, for example, if you want to talk about mermaid, so maybe you can start your presentation this way. Do you like reading fairy tale story? Have you ever heard of mermaid? Or something like that. So this is what we call introduction. The purpose of the introduction, the most important function of an introduction is to arouse curiosity, or maybe make your audience interested in your presentation. Alright, so that's why if you're sharing a story, maybe you should put the beginning part in the body, and then when you're starting your presentation, you should give some background information about that. Then the second part of the introduction, then you will introduce the topic you are going to talk about. Alright, and then the third part, I think most of the presenters, they are not only the presenters, maybe in this Toastmaster, maybe the students in my classes as well. Alright, maybe they are not that experienced. I would strongly suggest that they should give a preview. Alright, for their presentation. Alright, before they start their story. And then what is actually a preview? Preview is actually a summary of the main idea of your body. That means in the preview, you should tell your audience what you are going to talk about in your presentation. Alright? Yeah, so maybe let's take a look at the second part. Usually for the body usually is the most interesting part, the most important part of your presentation. And then we will break up our body into different ideas, different parts. Alright? So usually one main idea, one part. Alright, so it's like you can put the main idea, like for example, main idea 1. You can put this in your preview. You don't talk about the details in the preview. Alright, it is to show the structure of the body. all right, the structure of the body. Maybe you can also include a little bit of the conclusion, all right, in the preview, but you don't talk about the details, all right? Yeah, so just to
how a time to control or put introduction, because you need to tell
yeah,
Harvey.
When you are yes.
Yeah, I want to know the time control.
The time control, right?
Yeah.
Now, you can, let's say this is the outline. All right, when you're planning for your presentation, this is the outline. You write everything down in this way. And then, so you need to practice. When you're practicing, all right, when you're practicing, then you control. Like, for example, if I think the background information is too much, maybe I can cut down a little bit. All right, but you don't cut down the whole part. There should be 3 parts. All right, maybe for example, if you think the preview is too long, there's too much detail in it, then maybe you can make it even shorter or make it more brief. All right, but then you don't cut the whole part. You don't cut the whole part out. All right, that may be unclear. Now, the preview is also important for the audience because, like usually, before you go for a movie, usually you will watch the trailer. Right? Why do you like to watch the trailer before you watch a movie? Because it's clearer. Alright? Because after you have watched the trailer is actually the introduction of the movie. It's like you will have a better idea what you are going to look out in the movie. Alright? Yeah, so that's why the preview part of a presentation is like a trailer to the audience. Alright? They will have a clear, I would say that you will provide a clearer concept, all right, when they are listening to the body, all right, there are so much information that you have included, and then if you have given them a preview, they know, they will understand the purpose why you are talking about this, all right, and then, okay, maybe the second part is the body, all right, so like I said, all right, we'll break up the body into different parts, all right, and for each part, we will give it a summary. Alright, so when you're doing the presentation, we will present the summary first. After that, we'll talk about the detail. Now, sometimes accidents do happen. Alright, maybe you plan to spend, maybe for example, 5 minutes for the body. Alright, but then somehow, in the end, you screw up yourself. Alright, maybe you spend more than 7 minutes for that. And then you need to rush. Now, it's like if you plan your presentation this way, like for example, I think maybe now maybe I don't have much time left. I want to cut down. Alright, I want to cut out some parts. Alright, cancel some parts. I don't want to talk about that. Then, alright, usually the part that we cut is the detail. But we still complete the whole body. That means it's like, for example, I want to spend 3 minutes on part A and another 3 minutes for part B. But somehow I have spent 5 minutes for part A, but I still need to move on to part B, right? So part B, I cannot talk about what I have planned. Alright, so maybe I need to cut the details, but I still, talk about the main idea of part B. So it's like when you are doing the actual presentation, when you need to improvise, you know which part to cut, but still you can give your audience a complete story. Alright, so this is the one. And then for conclusion, basically the conclusion is to tell your audience that you are going to end your presentation. So usually by ending the presentation, we will repeat the main idea of the body. Alright, we'll repeat a little bit. Alright, and then if you have any further comment, you can put it, in the conclusion. Like for example, if you want to share a story. Alright, after you have presented the main idea of the story, that is like maybe you can give some personal comment at the end of your presentation. And then, like for example, if you talk about another topic, like for example, you are talking about a problem. The topic of your presentation is about a problem. Then maybe in the conclusion, you can talk a little bit about the suggestion, what we can do, to solve the problem or something like that. Alright, so basically this is the structure. Maybe when you are planning for the next presentation, you can try it this way. And then one last advantage of planning your organizing your presentation this way is that you can always check. Alright, always check the idea that you mentioned in the body, whether it is relevant, whether it is related to the topic. Sometimes when you think this is related to to the topic. For example, you think this particular piece of idea is related to the topic, but you may not be able to make your audience see the relevance, all right, between this idea and the topic. So it's like, maybe you can think about that. First, is it related? And then second, is it important? All right, if it is, although it is related, but if it is not important, then maybe you can just exclude that. All right, and then it's like, if you think it is related and it is also important, then maybe you can explain a little bit more how it is related to the topic. All right, yeah, you can always check the idea in the body and the topic. All right, if you are planning your presentation this way. Yeah, so I hope you can, give me a more vivid, all right, more powerful, interesting presentation, and you can make it better and better. Yeah, so thank you very much.
Thank you so much.